everyone, in today's video I'll go over the SAT Inferences Questions, which makes up quite a crucial part of the reading and writing section, and I hope that by the end you will understand some of the strategies and how you can best approach these questions. So let's get started into mastering the SAT Inferences Questions, which make up quite a crucial part of the reading and writing section. So we'll start off with an example, and then I will go through an example approach that you can use to break down these questions and try to answer them. So here's an example. Nocturnal animals have evolved specialized adaptations to thrive in low-light environments. Many of these adaptations, such as enhanced night vision or echolocation, are energy-intensive and require significant metabolic investment. As a result, these adaptations are only favored in species that have a consistent need to navigate or hunt in darkness. This principle can be seen in the distribution of nocturnal species across different environments. For example, all of these questions, the inferences questions, give you a text like this, and then the point is to find the choice that most logically completes the text. So, the first option, many nocturnal species have adapted to avoid predation during daylight hours. Environments with consistent darkness, such as caves, have a higher concentration of nocturnal species. Species with adaptations for low-light environments are more common in regions with extended periods of darkness. And nocturnal species tend to avoid environments with artificial light pollution. So take a moment to pause the video and think through the question yourself and see which one you think fits into this text most logically. So the correct answer is C, and let's see why through the approach I show you in the next slide. So here are some steps that I've made for approaching these questions. The first one is to separate the text into bullet points to break down the reasoning. I have mental in brackets here because for a lot of people, the whole act of writing down bullet points can be unnecessary, inefficient, and maybe time consuming. So it depends where you are in your level with these types of questions and what personally works best for you. I think that writing down all of the bullet points helps if it's a really complicated text or if you're struggling in that moment to understand what's going on because of stress or anything really, because then writing it down really helps to kind of break it down into its most simple elements. But otherwise, I think if you're going okay and you're just going through the flow of the question, having a mental kind of breakdown of the reasoning is also just as good, and it saves a lot of time as well. So it depends which one you would prefer. The second step is to examine the argument or the point being made, and this is like the exact purpose of the text or the main message that it's trying to get across. The third step is to explore the choices, and you should, in this step, try to eliminate anything that appears to be directly contradictory, and there's always a few options like that in every question. So usually there are two, so then you are basically boiling down just to two answers, and that saves a lot of time to think. So after elimination, you can also try and inspect and see which one you would think the correct one is. But this is where the fourth step is really important, because if you're in between two, you select the choice that specifically and directly strengthens the argument and it references the main point that's being made in the text. So this is where step 4 is like really tied to the thing that you get out of from step 2. So now let's apply these steps to the example question. So here are the bullet points. Nocturnal animals have evolved specific adaptations to survive in low light conditions. That's the first point. These adaptations require a significant amount of energy. They are favored only in species that regularly operate in darkness, and the distribution of nocturnal species can be observed across different environments. Now, if we go back to the choices, maybe take a screenshot of that from that time stamp and then just have it next to you while I go over them. So choice A mentions avoidance of predation during daylight hours. This shifts focus from the low-light adaptations to a behavioral strategy which is not directly related to the passage, and that's why we eliminate option A. Choice D discusses artificial pollution. Light pollution. Although light pollution is related to nocturnal species, the passage does not mention human-made influences or avoidance behaviors, so this option is also eliminated. Now, choice B talks about environments like caves that have consistent darkness, leading to a concentration of nocturnal species. This is relevant, but the passage hints at a broader principle of species distribution rather than a specific example like caves. So it partially fits. Now, if we go to choice C focuses on regions with extended periods of darkness and suggests that species with low light adaptations are more common there. Now, this choice directly relates to the passage's discussion of the necessity of low-light adaptations and their impact on species distribution across environments. So now we can see that choice B partially fits, but choice C is more specific and it directly relates to the passage, which is the most important thing. So, choice C is therefore the correct answer. Now, we can go on to another example. Here, the text is, ocean currents play a crucial role in regulating the Earth's climate by distributing heat from the equator to the poles. Warm ocean currents, such as the Gulf Stream, transport heat from tropical regions, warming the coastal areas they pass by. Conversely, cold ocean currents bring cooler temperatures to the regions they influence. This dynamic interaction between warm and cold currents explains why coastal cities at similar latitudes can have drastically different climates. For instance, option A, we have the presence of warm ocean currents can lead to milder winters and hotter summers in coastal cities. Coastal cities near warm ocean currents often experience more stable weather patterns. Coastal cities influenced by warm ocean currents tend to have warmer climates than those affected by cold currents. And then the last one, cold ocean currents can sometimes bring fog and cooler air to coastal regions. So take another moment to pause and think about which answer you think would answer this. So the correct answer is C again. And let's use the same approach for example 1 on this question. So, the bullet points. Ocean currents help regulate the Earth's climate by moving heat around. Okay. Warm currents bring heat to coastal areas, making them warmer. Cold currents cool down the areas that they pass by. Coastal cities at the same latitude can have different climates due to the influence of these currents. So choice C is the most logical completion. I put it here, but let's first eliminate all the options before that. So, option A mentions how warm currents can lead to milder winters and hotter summers, which is accurate, but it does not address the contrast in climates at the similar latitudes, and that's why we eliminate this choice. Now, going on to B, choice B discusses stable weather patterns, which, while related to ocean currents, does not directly address the contrast in climates that the passage focuses on. This can be eliminated. Choice D touches on cold currents bringing fog and cooler air, which is a true statement, but it does not provide a comparison between cities at a similar latitudes, and that's why we also eliminate D. Now, C, as is already on the screen here, is the most logical completion because it directly addresses the contrast between climates of coastal cities at similar latitudes, which is explained by the influence of warm and cold ocean currents. So, in C, we can see that it's referencing a specific argument or point being made, and it addresses everything in the text as well. Now, it might not necessarily be that the answer addresses everything in the text, but in this case, it is definitely more specific than option, I think it was A or B, which is accurate, but it's not something that the passage focuses on. So in this question, it's harder to eliminate because you have also a few options that are partially correct. But just because you have partial accuracy doesn't mean that that's the one that is most specific to the text, and that's why really take the time to go through each of them and then choose the one that is most related to the passage itself. And that's why with these kind of questions, I would suggest to really try and do it correctly the first time around. So even if it takes you a bit more time, just solve the question rather than going through to the rest of them and then coming back later. So if you find these harder and you want to skip them entirely, that's up to you. But if you do intend to answer them, it is better to answer them the first time around, because it takes time to think of the argument being made, see how it progresses and what the point is, and then see which one logically completes the text, of course. And this is all very sequential, and it's hard to really jump around from question to question and then come back to this later. So that's just another extra tip. Try and solve this question in one go, and then of course if you have extra time remaining at the end, you can double check everything, but I wouldn't suggest trying to half complete this question and then coming back to it. So the conclusion, or the approach that I would suggest, is you break down the passage. That's the first thing. You try and understand the main argument being made. You carefully consider each choice, and you select the one that strengthens the specific argument being made in the passage, and it directly addresses things that have been brought up in the text. And that's the most important thing, I would say. So, other than that, thank you for watching my video, and I hope it helps you to answer these types of questions. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe to support my channel, and I'm going to be working on new videos for this SAT series and then also some others.